Good morning, everyone.
I know.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning. My name is Lisa Bandrew, and I'm with the Finance Department at the Scranton Chamber. Before we begin today, does anybody have an extra seat? We have a lot of people standing in the back. If anybody can raise your hand if there's an extra seat, maybe we can get a few more people. Okay, as you jockey for seats, I'm going to continue so we could keep moving. Please note that there are exits at the back and the side of the room should anyone need to leave during the presentation. Also, there are Empower staff members inside the room. If you need any assistance, please just let us know. We're also reminded we're using the WOVA app today for Empower. You can type in any questions you may have for our speaker. Also, she will be outside, Kate will be outside the room after our presentation to answer any more questions. We're being recorded and it will be replayed, so you can all log in for that. There'll be photos taken as well. Please remember, silence your cell phone, and if you would love to take pictures, we would love it. Please just use the hashtag Empower2023, and please remember to take all your personal items with you after our session. At this time, I would like to present to you our sponsor for the day, People Security Bank and Trust, Amy Vini. She's the Senior Vice President and Chief Human Resource Officer. Amy?
Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to spend the morning with all of you today. As Lisa had mentioned, my name is Amy Vini, and I am the Senior Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer for People Security Bank and Trust. The Empower Women's Conference strives to show that all women have the ability to create positive change in their local communities. As a community bank, we have the commitment to support local charities, nonprofits, and community events. Each year, People Security Bank is proud to support such a fantastic event and be a sponsor of the Leadership Track program. I'm pleased to introduce your speaker, Kate Sholonski. Kate Sholonski, oh, go ahead. You get double. Kate Sholonski is a certified life coach and co-founder partner of Triumph Leadership Group. Kate's many years as a nurse, a wife, a mom and business partner, a speaker, an author, and a leadership trainer have given her many opportunities to master the art of personal empowerment. Her innate ability to access joy, humor, and playfulness through her storytelling and engaging presentations brings out the best in everyone she touches. Sholonski's presentations have elicited such comments as a true life changer, best in the business, illuminating, soul-stirring, charismatic, transformational, upbeat, moving, personal, awakening, empowering, and the best training that they've ever experienced. So with all of that, I think that she'll give us a dynamic presentation today. So please join me in welcoming Kate.
Great, well, thank you. Wow, that's a lot to live up to. Gosh, well, I am so happy to be here with a large group of empowered women. And I just want to mention, if you notice, there is no PowerPoint here today. Nothing against PowerPoint. But the reason for that is I want all of us to be focusing inside on ourselves. All right? The most important relationship we all have is the one we have with ourselves. And I think that, because that can be off, that's what drives us, trying to be perfect, to prove our value, to show people that we're worthy. Where it begins is within us. So I'm going to be giving you some tools today that will, I hope, you'll go on and practice so you can really strengthen that muscle. So I just want to ask a question. Raise your hand if this applies to you. Have you ever felt as if you lived in a circus? Okay. And your job was to spin 1,000,000 plates all at the same time and juggle at the same time while looking great. Yeah? Raise your hand if you have ever felt as if you've been there. Well, you know, we are living in a time that is not the same as what our mothers and our grandmothers experienced. And really calls us forth to be very aware of not only what society has put on us, what our workplaces, the demands have put on us, and what we put on ourselves. Because oftentimes we are the offenders of causing us to feel diminished or to really put that pressure to be perfect. Oftentimes it's not coming from outside, but in our own minds. It's stories we make up about ourselves. So before we go any further, I always like to have agreements. When I do leadership workshops with my business partner, and it's called Stress-Free Leadership, Living Your Best Life While Inspiring Others. And we have one of our graduates in the room. Please raise your hand, Lisa. Where are you? There she is. Doesn't she look great? She's so stress-free, you can tell. And whenever we do a workshop, we work with very small, intimate groups, we have agreements. And one of those agreements is that nobody gets to be wrong today. In this time, in this room, all together, and what that means is that I'm going to have you engaging with each other, and there may be different perspectives that you may hear from me than ones you hold, and I invite you to really be open your heart, to each other, not making anybody else wrong, but also not making yourself wrong. So if you agree that no one gets to be wrong, including the person in your seat, please raise your hand. All right, it looks like I'm believing everybody. There might be a few so keep an eye out. So another agreement is that we have fun. The best learning, I believe, happens when we are enjoying ourselves. We're in our right brain when we're open and creative and we can allow things in. And I also believe we retain more when we are enjoying the process. So if you are willing to have fun, please raise your hand. Oh, great. And one more agreement is that we engage, that you take part. Whether you're listening to me, I want you to be really taking it in and relating for yourself, as well as with the other people that you're going to be connecting with. All right, so if you agree to that, please raise your hand. Wonderful. All right, let's get going. So there is, I think, one of the big things that gets in our way as humans, particularly women humans, is that we tend to define ourselves by what we do. All right? Like we'll say, I used to be a nurse. In fact, I was a nurse for 28 years. And then 23 years ago, I made the shift to a whole new career. And I am now 70 years old, and I am not done. And but I used to define myself as a nurse. And now I'm a coach and a speaker and a trainer. Well, what was true about me as a nurse, the gifts or the qualities that made me me then, are still present now. So I'm going to have you do a little exercise. And what that will be is I want you to consider, without thinking about what you do for a living, any of your titles, any of the roles you play in your life. You poor people are over here in the dark. Okay. There is no wrong. It's fine. No problem. No problem. So without thinking of any of those roles, like wife, mother, sister, daughter, any of those, or your titles, or your education, who are you? Notice the silence? Most people, when we ask that question, are blank. We are accustomed to defining ourselves by all of those titles or history. And that's not who you are. So what I'm going to be having you do in a couple of minutes is engage with each other around you to be sharing who you really are. But I'm going to do a little demonstration. And first I'll use myself. And so I would say, and we call these the gifts. They're the parts of you that make you you. These gifts that make us so unique and different, there's no one like you. We're all unique beings.
We like to call those the gifts. And it's not things we do well, but it's the qualities. So for instance, one of my gifts that has been present since I think I was 2, because my mother said that when anyone would be anywhere near me, I'd ask them to watch me tap dance. And I didn't know how to tap dance. I never had tap dance lessons, but like I was always just bold, and I was so playful is one of my gifts. I was playful in the operating room, you know, at appropriate times. At appropriate times, all right? So I can't help it. So when I am allowing myself to be authentic, I'm playful. That's one of my gifts. Another one of my gifts is that I am love. I love people. I love to meet strangers. I get hugs on the jetway from my seatmate to California, you know, after having connections. I cannot help it. And I believe actually love is one of the gifts we all share. And another one of my gifts is I'm bold. I'm bold. I'll speak up, especially now that I know who I am and I'm living in alignment with who I am. I'm respectful, but I will speak up, or I will do something other people probably wouldn't. All right? So that's an example. You're getting a feel for what the gifts are. Can I have a volunteer to coach, to play with? Anybody willing? Great, come on up, please. And oh, can we have a mic? Is there a mic? All right, then just come and stand real close to me. All right, so we're gonna stand here so the camera can see us. And your name again is? Lisa Marie. All right, so Lisa, without describing what you do for a living, any of the roles you play, who are you?
I'm bold.
Oh, all right. So we share some of the same
people.
gifts.
I love connections.
Okay, all right. So you're bold, great, and you're a connector. So here's something I didn't mention, which is really great to pay attention to. It's not what you do, but if you look underneath, like connecting, you look underneath that, what are the gifts that make you a connector? Like, for instance, you're friendly. Right? So friendly, open, that's a gift. All right, you see? If somebody, we always hear this, people say, I'm a good listener. Well, if you look underneath the doing of listening, you'll find the gifts that make you a good listener, like caring, sensitivity. You know, another one would be compassionate. All right, so do you see how that works? So you are bold, you are, what do you say about your connection? What are the gifts that make you a connector, make you love that?
I think my experiences in life has created that compassion for other people.
Okay, your wisdom.
Right.
You are wise.
I'm old.
Okay.
I'm not 70, but...
And isn't it great? It's all right. I'm wiser. I've been around longer, not that I'm better, but yeah, the longer we're on the planet, the wiser we get if we're living awake, right? All right, great. Well, thank you very much. Give Lisa a hand. All right, great. So I have my little singing bowl here. So when I chime this, it will be your signal to pay attention to us up here again. So what I'm going to have you do is turn to the people next to you. Make sure no one is left out, if it's a threesome or a foursome, whatever, but try to keep, your group small. And I'd like you to share with your partner or a trio some of your gifts. And I'd like you to think of them and own it with, I am blank, and feel it. And then we'll talk about it. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes, so go ahead and mix up. since it took 4 gongs, I am believing you like that. All right, great. So let's talk a little bit, and I know, I think if I'm going to ask questions and it's going to take too much time to get a microphone to anybody, but I'm going to ask you if you have something to say, just please stand up and project, or just yell out and then I'll repeat it. What was that like for you? What was that like? Interesting. What was interesting? Okay, great. And how about with yourself? That interesting? What, you had to dig deep maybe? Something. We're not used to that. Looking now, if I asked you to name 3 things that you really don't like about yourself, that you're working on, would have been easier, right? Because that's what we're thinking. It is that thought that keeps us striving to be perfect. Let me try harder and work harder to do better. And the truth is, when we are not knowing the truth of who we are, we're out of alignment with who we are. And when we're out of alignment, then we're struggling. Where the truth is, you have everything you need already inside you. You just need to know it and be able to access it and call on it. Without comparing yourself to anyone else, without thinking you're bragging. By the way, I am not suggesting that when you leave here, you're out there in the world going, well, hi, I'm Kate, and I want you to know I am kind. Yes. Oh, hi there. I am Kate, and I am resilient. Okay. What I am suggesting, and why this is so powerful that you know who you are, is not to brag about it. There's nothing to brag about. You're no better than anyone else. Because we all have many gifts, by the way, more than 3. This is a short talk, so that's what we have time for. All right? You are not comparing yourself. You are not less than. You are not bragging. What I suggest is you know it and that you be it. Without apology, without any sense of I'm better than you. All right? So did anybody, this is sometimes an issue, did anyone feel uncomfortable? Yes, you did? Yeah, there is no wrong, and there's room for all of that. And what made you uncomfortable? Oh, I love it. And so I'm going to interpret that when it takes us out of our heads to our heart. This is a great time for a commercial. My business partner and I co-authored 2 books, and this one is Heartfelt Leadership, Creating a Culture of Connection. So our model of leadership is about heart to heart. It's about being who you are and seeing the best in the people around you. All right? So it is, I love that. And that can be uncomfortable, and the more we practice it, the easier it gets. And the freer we feel. Because when we are in our heads, we're thinking like, how do I look? How do I sound? My biggest obstacle in my leadership track was when I realized that trying was my death. I was trying to impress people. I was trying to sound good, trying to sound smart, because I really didn't think I was very smart. So I had to work at it. I had a script. I wasn't authentic. And that striving to be perfect. I had to look good. I had to be the best mom, the best nurse, the best wife, the best athlete. Always striving, it was out there. And I would never reach it. Or if I did achieve it, the joy was, or the, up from that was temporary, then I'd go reach further. And what the greatest lesson I learned was trying is my death. And to just be.
And once I recognized I was enough, then that's actually when I became more effective in my life. All of the stuff that I've created professionally was in the last 23 years of my life. And I am old, we've already established that. All right, so, and just to give a quick mention, this book is Wide Awake, 3 Minutes a Day to an Inspired Life. And they're short stories. Everybody has 3 minutes, even if you're busy. Just about, from my business partner and I, about living life authentically and aware and awake. And Lisa, I'd like to give you one of these books before you leave today, so for volunteering, thank you. Okay, I want to tell you a story that I think will exhibit, and you may be able to relate to it. Because a big part of what gets in our way of feeling comfortable in our own skin is we're thinking we're not enough. So if I can be like them, then I'll have it. And when I was in this very intense leadership program in the redwoods of Northern California, there was a woman in our group I just so admired. And there were people from all over the country and other countries in this leadership program. And she was an African American, beautiful skin, dreadlocks. She was a very bosomy woman, and when she spoke, she had this softness to her voice. And she was so compelling. And so I really liked her. And so when it was my turn to speak, guess what I did? I bombed. I couldn't be Sophie. When I was trying to be like Sophie, I was losing my own power, which is goofball. You know, which is the boldness, the playfulness, the child. That's when I'm most effective. All right, and I lost that. And I know we all fall into that. And so it's when we stop seeing ourselves as less than everybody else and start focusing on what is great about us, without apology, that's when the shift happens. Because the more time we spend aligned, the happier we are. And, of course, the more effective we are. So I'm going to come up here on stage now to give you another tool. And I'd like to, if you can imagine, that in any moment, any of us are in one of two lands. All right? If we're over here in the land of love, we feel good. In the land of love, we're aligned with our gifts. When we are in the land of love, we are patient. We are compassionate when we're in the land of love. The impact we have on other people is heartfelt. And it's going to be positive when we are here in the land of love. All right? But we're not always here, are we? No. We are not, because we're human. Sometimes we're over here in the land of fear. Now, when we are in the land of fear, it is not comfortable at all. When we are striving and comparing and like, if I do this, there's fear driving us. It's unnatural. If we get another way to look at this, and when we get angry about something, we all get angry, look underneath the anger, and there's a fear. We're afraid somebody took advantage of us, or stole something from us, or is going to make us look bad, or whatever. There's a fear. If we're resentful, again, there's a fear that somebody judged us, or, took advantage, or something happened. We're afraid. If we're jealous, we're afraid somebody has something we don't have and will never have. So when you start paying attention Just, checking in with yourself emotionally in any given moment. Notice how it feels. Let's say you're working with your team at work and everything's clicking and, you're brainstorming and things are great and you're in joy. What a pleasure to be here. That feels great. And then, boom, somebody will say something that threatens our point of view and we're in fear. Then we're defensive. Then we start pointing out what's wrong with them. All right? That is not productive. It is not effective. All right? So the big thing is to be aware in any given moment where we are. So we can, like when you notice I'm over here in fear, first of all, I have to notice this is where I am. And then the second thing is to ask myself, what am I afraid of? And then the next question is it real? Or did I make it up? Because we're very creative. We're very creative. And somebody may just not say good morning. And we'll make up a whole story about that. I bet she's still ticked off about yesterday. And I know she's telling everybody about it. So now, like, you're totally out of alignment. You forgot that you were fabulous. You forgot. And you're over there in fear. That's where drama happens. Anybody see drama? When there is drama going on in your home, if you have teenagers or even little ones, or in the workplace, it doesn't matter. It's fear-driven. So part of what can make you a very powerful leader is to know it in yourself and recognize it in others. Now, of course, you're not going to judge them. You're going to be gentle and say, I'm noticing you're not acting like yourself. What's bothering you? Or what are you concerned about? Now, if you ask somebody, what are you afraid of? Especially men. No offense, man. What oftentimes if you were to ask somebody, what are you afraid of? They say, I'm not afraid of anything. Well, that's a defense. But I want you to just play this game and notice. Because when you can identify a fear and then identify, is it real or not? And then if it is real, what do we do about it? Let us be honest about it. Can you imagine the freedom of life that, in whatever compartment we're talking about, what that would be like? Okay, great. So here, what's my time? Let me look. I don't have, let's see, what am I forgetting? Oh, I know. So let's go back to the gifts and take a look at what are some of the things that get in our way. I'm a podium person. What are some of the things that block our gifts? What do you know? What do you know, just in your own lives? What gets you out of alignment? Criticism. Great. So notice the fear. If we're being criticized, we're afraid, you might go, if you're really creative, I'm going to lose my job. Okay, it could be a big time. Or, when somebody's criticizing, they don't like me. Or, I'm not as smart as I thought I was. All right, what else? What's another? And these are just beliefs, yes. Other people, and what specifically? Because other people really can get in our way, so that's why it's important you know yourself. Okay, sure. Yeah, you're making a great point, because we could be over here in the land of love, we're feeling good, I'm so aligned, I'm powerful, like I know what's possible for me, I'm excited to be alive. And then somebody over there in the land of fear hooks me. Judging will hook me. Oh, you want to fight? Okay. I'm there.
You know, because like, don't forget, I'm bold. You know, so, and we can feel justified. We can feel it. We give our, one of my favorite quotes, I think it's probably what I'm most quoted for, like I'm famous or something, but feel free to use this, is people give their joy away. If somebody judges them, that what literally they're, and then you feel bad about it, you go home and stew about it, and you get pissed off about it, you're giving your joy away. We do that all the time. We can be feeling great, something happens, and then we say, here's my joy. Now, does it make them joyful? No. What it does when we give our joy away, now we have two miserable people. All right, think of a team. How much work gets done when the whole team is in fear and it's this kind of thing? So another brilliant, simple, I love simple, so everything I present is simple. Another simple thing to remember is that only one person needs to be sane. Just one. Just one. And what I mean by that is one person, only one person can, when they can see the whole picture, like, oh, okay, I see, I got hooked into fear. I was afraid of X, Y, or Z. Oh, I see, they're afraid of this. And then that brings us here, where we get aligned. If compassion is a gift, you're going to get aligned with compassion. Where I used to be ready to fight, I now have compassion for the bully. They're suffering. They're suffering. And here's the thing, you may be thinking about people like, well, they don't have gifts. Yeah, they do. They do, we all do, but for some of us, they're so covered up with all this other junk that they're not in touch with it. And I can identify, I was definitely, deeply living in the land of fear. I have moments over here, this is naturally who I am in the land of joy, but boy, the competitiveness, the negative replay in my mind, the making up stories. And, another great quote of mine is that if you're going to make up a story about yourself, make it a good one. Like if you're like what they may be thinking, about me, like, how I was saying over here, I'm over here in the land of fear, and like, oh, I know, she's really mad at me, and she's talking about me, and I'm probably going to get fired over that now. Like, what a story, it's all made up, right? You don't know. So if you're going to make up a story and you don't really know the truth, I do recommend finding out the truth. That's another workshop. So what I recommend is to make it a good story from the land of love. Like, oh, I wonder what happened to her this morning. I wonder if her dog died. Like that could be, it has nothing to do with me. Doesn't that feel better? Then my day isn't ruined. Now, is it true? I don't know, but I didn't know that was true either. Right? So being aware of what you are thinking and how it makes you feel. It is so important, as I said at the beginning of this talk, to create a very healthy, loving relationship with yourself. Does it mean you're perfect? No, none of us are. We're always going to make mistakes. Do we all deserve to be honored? Absolutely. Always. And if you're thinking of, well, not me, because you don't know what I did, how I messed up, or the people I have hurt, yes, even you. Because the sooner we get back to that place of alignment, where we are loving ourselves, where we are forgiving ourselves, then we're over here in the land of love, the more effective we will be with everyone we touch. And that's what we want, right? If you want a life that is not only, like getting it done, but to be fulfilling, if it's important to you to have joy and to feel great, boy, you are worth the effort to create a very healthy and loving relationship. Now, just before, I know I'm going to have to wrap up here in a minute. Now, I'm just going to tell you a quick story about myself and how I'm so grateful that I made this my life focus in this getting to really know myself and appreciate myself and honor myself. Is I have had 3 diagnoses for cancer. And each time I heard that news, I was not in fear. I was here in the land of love. I kind of was watching myself going, that's crazy. It was kind of mind-boggling. And the most recent diagnosis was just last month for metastatic breast cancer. And I just had surgery 2 weeks ago to remove a bundle of nodes from under my arm. And I am about to commence a very vigorous chemotherapy, which will probably be for life. I'm here in the land of love, folks. I don't know how much life I have. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I do not know how long I will be on the planet. Either do you. So, boy, is it important you do not waste your time. Because if you're waiting, well, once my kids are raised, then I'll have joy. Or once I get that promotion, then I will. No, you'll just keep on searching. You can have it now. You don't have to wait, because you are with you all the time, and you deserve the love and respect and care completely, because that is how you are going to be effective in the world. So thank you very much for your, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. One more thing, if anyone is interested in knowing more about our work and our leadership, I will give you my cell number. If the WOVA app is a little intimidating, very direct to contact me. And my cell is 570-439-2004. And I'm the only Kate Sholonski in the world. So you can friend me on Facebook. All right, great. Thanks, everybody.